Hello and welcome once again to Caversham Central. Well, as you can see, I've been very busy clearing up the old layout, and it's all now been taken up, packaged away, and a few trips to the tip with stuff that is no longer going to be useful. So back to the bare baseboards. Still got a bit of work to do, a bit of tidying up here really, as much as anything else, but I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to, in addition to showing you all the stuff I've been doing, taking the layout apart, also some of the things that that I have done for the new layout, and also just an opportunity to share some of my ideas with you for what you can expect on the next incarnation of the layout. So those of you that have followed the channel for a while will know that Caversham Central is a modern image layout, and it's primarily set on the Great Western Main Line, and it featured at least four lines, and a station and various other, town scene and that kind of stuff. The reason I kind of got a bit frustrated with it was actually there was just too much going on. There was too much track and not enough scenery. I think I probably made the mistake a lot of people make of just trying to cram too much into the space. So on the newer version, or the next version of the layout, one of the things that I'm going to be looking to do is to have less track and maybe just a bit more realism around it. So in terms of some of the things that you can expect, firstly, it is still going to have four lines, two express and then two local lines, which can also be used for freight. One of the reasons why I had so much track was for sidings and that kind of thing, was really for loco storage. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing on the next version, and as you can see I've started work here, is to have a bit of a fiddle yard. Now this originally was a lift up section. It would just lift up from here on a hinge. What I've decided for the new layout is to have all of this as a storage space for trains, and I'm hopeful that it will be big enough to be able to accommodate the Class 800s, and there's one of the coaches, just as give me an idea of how I'm getting on. Big enough to accommodate the Class 800s, also some HSTs. I don't run full length HSTs on the layout. I think they're just too big really, but they're normally 5-car units with the two power cars, and also some freight trains as well. So as you can see, I've started to to just position some of the track to give me an idea of how it will all work, and I've put cork down here as well. I've corked over all of the fiddle yard, but for the actual lines on the scenic area, I'm just going to have cork underneath the tracks, so hopefully slightly more realistic. For the fiddle yard, I'm using code 100 Pico, and actually mainly Pico track with Bachmann points. These points I've not actually used before, but they're made by Bachmann, and they apparently are great for DCC. They're fully conducting, so we'll see how we get on with those. So code 100 track in the fiddle yard, but the scenic track I'm going to go with code 75, and I'm going to use the concrete sleepered code 75. There's pieces of track you can use to convert or switch, if you like, between the code 75 and the code 100, which will go kind of there-ish as we move from the scenic area into the fiddle yard. So the first two changes really. Firstly, a fiddle yard, and secondly, code 75 Pico track, and that should mean that there's less track on the scenic area, which in turn will give me hopefully the opportunity to just make it look, you know, a bit more realistic. Okay, so what else can you expect on the layout? Well, you'll probably recall from its previous incarnation that I had a station, and I scratch built the station and modelled it on Reading. Ultimately, I think I probably bit off a bit more than I can chew, and I think I did a decent job. It was the first time I'd ever scratch built anything, and I think it looked okay. But I'm going to have a smaller station. Those of you that are familiar with the Reading area will know that Reading lies between two stations, one called Twyford, which is to the east, and then to the west we have Tilehurst. So what I'm going to do is have a station which is more of a sort of nod towards the Twyford or the Tilehurst stations, and yeah, just shorter platforms, and just generally, you know, less going on. The other things that I want to incorporate into the layout, firstly, working signals. I have got a load of CR signals that I bought for the layout and never actually got around to wiring up. What I want to do is to use those, but have have them wired up so that they can identify trains passing, so they'll be linked. The other thing that I intend to put on the layout is the overhead power lines. Again, those of you familiar with the West Coast, Great Western Line, will know it's been electrified and it's still been electrified. I want to replicate that, and I'm probably going to go with a Pico overhead catenary sets as well. The track work generally, I just want to be a bit more realistic, so spend more time making sure that we've got everything included on the tracks that you'd expect to see. So yeah, generally just I hope less track, but of a better quality and more realistic. Over this side of the layout, I'm going to put in an aggregate plant. There's a couple that I see, I think the Hanson owned on the main line into London Paddington from the west, and I want to put in place at least a representation of that. So that will be going in. That will be probably the main item, along this side of the layout. But also, there'll be industrial units, and hopefully it will be fairly typical of of what you would see on that particular line. There will be a town as well, and I'm thinking that the town will be probably slightly raised. So the idea is that the track will be running through a bit of a cutting on this side, with the town serving the station. And then as we move round, I think I'm looking to make use of and recycle some of the resin buildings and that sort of stuff that I've got from the original layout. There will be a couple of other things on the layout which I'm going to effectively recycle from Caversham Central. You might remember there was an allotment which was actually up this end of the layout. I really like the allotment, and I think that will definitely be a feature. There's also on the original layout I had a almost like a scrap metal, a scrap dealer's kind of compound with a load of abandoned cars and all that kind of thing. And again, that's something which I envisage making an appearance on the layout as well. I also want to have an abandoned siding, probably a bit far away for you to see, but I've got some really nice old locos and a couple of coaches and hoppers and what have you of stuff that's condemned, and I think it looked quite good just on a a forgotten siding as well. So there won't be loads of sidings, but there will be at least one to accommodate some of those items. Other than that, I think that's pretty much everything for what the layout will have on it, and hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea. The one other thing which is worthwhile mentioning is I'm going to change the name of the layout, and I think I'm going to change the name of the channel as well. So assuming I can actually do this on YouTube, and I think I can, then the name will be changing from Caversham Central to something which is more appropriate for the revised layout. As I said, the station is really a bit of a nod to the stations of Twyford and Tilehurst. So I've decided to call the new layout Tileford, and I think that works pretty well, and the channel will also be changing its name to Tileford as well, pretty much once I've got this video up and and viewed and what have you. So for me, the next jobs, I've got some paint. I need to tidy up some of the damage left from the back scene. I'm not actually going to bother with the back scene on this layout. I think the light blue will work absolutely fine. So I need to get that sorted out. There's still a bit more of the cork to go down just up this end of the layout. So I'm waiting on that arriving from a seller on eBay. Other than that, really, I guess it's a case of just getting the fiddle yard at least mapped out, and I think that hopefully will provide the starting point for the remainder of the track work. So I'll be working on getting this down and see where we go from there. So I hope that you will see some more videos from Tileford than has been the case with Caversham Central. In fairness, I'd have to go some to post many fewer than I have done. So I'm really hoping that this will, be the shot in the arm that I think my my layout needs. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you like what you hear. Obviously your comments are always really appreciated, and any ideas, any suggestions, anything like that is great. And thanks for sticking with the channel. I'm going to crack on with a paintbrush, and I hope you will visit again soon. Cheers.